Welcome back to the podcast. We got Karrie Augustine. I'm really excited to interview. And more specifically, as we always interview these different leaders, is she has a topic that is very unique, a topic that we have never covered before. And I love all of the topics, of course. All of them have relevance and meaning and importance. You get to hear from different voices that have different experiences, different backgrounds, that you never know what's going to set in for you. And as I always say, the ability to learn how to learn is the greatest ability one can have. But today's specific topic is going to be very fascinating because it's going to really teach you how you can capture leads on social media, because people hear that all the time, but everybody does a little bit differently. And so this specific method is going to be different from anything that I've covered with you. So Karrie, before we do that, let's just do rapid fire for people to get to know you. How long have you been in the network marketing industry?
Believe it or not, going on year 6.
Year 6. I love it. Time flies, doesn't it? It's like
It sure does.
you go through it. In this business, what do you feel like are some of your greatest accomplishments in the last 6 years?
Ooh, I recruited over 35 people in a month. I did over $30,000 in personal sales in a month. What are my other accomplishments? I think those are my biggest ones. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you think about it. I mean, how many people ever recruit 35, period? How many people recruit 35 in a year? And how many people recruit 35 in a month? And I think that right there sets the tone that, your strategy that you're using that's very specific to capturing leads and a little bit different than how most people do it. Obviously, it's worked, and you figure out how to do it, because personal production is so important. And I get it. It's of course, we all would love the dream of sponsoring, a couple people and they do everything else. But the cliche is so real. The speed of the leader, speed of the pack. And I know we've heard it before. And a lot of times I would hear it and I just rolled my eyes like, again, I'm hearing it over and over. But it's so true and it's so important. What you do well duplicates sometimes. What you do poorly almost always duplicates. And I'm telling you, recruiting, sponsoring is by far the most important skill. And people are like, well, what do you mean? What about this? And what about that? And what about retention? There is no retention if you're not sponsoring or recruiting, right? There is no even managing people or growing an organization or fostering. So people want to hear from you. So tell us, there's different variations of collecting leads with social media. What do you mean by that when you say you collect leads from social media? Is this you're putting, and I know the answer, but I'm just going to phrase it this way. You're putting it in like a spreadsheet, you're writing it down on a piece of paper, you've got like a messenger bot, you're texting, what does that mean? How are you collecting leads? What are you doing and how are you collecting them?
Well, I'm happy Rob asked this, because for a long time I was doing it on paper, but I was doing it on all kinds of paper all over the place. And I'm super unorganized. And that is where I found this way to do it to keep me more organized that helped me to recruit 35 people in a month, like Rob just said. So I basically am capturing leads via text. So I am having people text me for a piece of value. So whether that piece of value is information about one of my products, whether it's information about working with me, whether it's value on, the lifestyle that I'm living. I love to share about like intermittent fasting and like salads in a jar that I make and like workout programs. They text me, I collect their info, they turn into a lead for me to create a conversation with, and it kind of goes from there.
Wow. So let's go even back further. When you say you're posting something of value, obviously I'm going through it in my mind. I'm like, okay, she's posting something of value. I've got to text her to be able to receive that. What give us some examples? Like, what is the person that's brand new that doesn't understand what that means? Like, what does that look like?
I love that you asked that, because one of my favorite pieces to share and like what I'm known for, and I have been known for a couple of years, are these like Mason salads in a jar that I make. So if you've never had one, they're delicious. It's like a salad layered in a jar. They actually have them in vending machines now that I've seen, believe it or not. So I essentially will make these, in my kitchen, and I'll film content, whether it's a reel, a TikTok. I sometimes film myself pouring it onto a dish, or I take a picture of it for my stories, or for Facebook, social media. And then I drive people in the content that I write to text me the word salads to in turn get my 7 favorite salads in a jar and how to make them. So they're texting me, I'm collecting their phone number. They now get this PDF to their phone where they have all of my recipes with pictures. And then in the future, I get to drip on them. So, next week, if I come up with a new salad, I send that to them. I create create conversation. Why did they want to download this salad? Do they have health goals? Are they trying to save money on meal prepping? And then that's where I'm able to talk to them about products, business, and it kind of goes from
all
there.
the good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go, let's give some other examples. Let's say that I'll give a couple of them and you can answer however many you want. What if I want to do the same thing and I'm in a service-based company that's, based off of, something helping him out financial? What if I'm in a company that has to do with skincare or hair care? How would I go about creating something like you just created?
Great question. So why does somebody want to buy a skincare product? They probably want to buy it to feel better. They might want to buy it because of something, with their appearance, right? So you come up with a piece of value to help them more than just the product that they're buying, whether it's a hydration tip, like 7 ways to stay hydrated. You could come up with a piece of value that's like 7 different waters infused with fruits. If it's service-based, if you're talking about, ways to save money, you can give them some hacks for when they go to the store, how to save money in the checkout line, how to read labels, right? Like a lot of people want to know how to read a label, how to save money when they go to the store with their kids, how to keep their kids occupied over the holidays. So it's kind of whatever the product is, the end goal. And this is my teacher brain. I was a teacher for 10 years, so I was great at lesson planning. Whatever that end goal is, the product or, what you're recruiting them for, you just break it down backwards. And who are you speaking to? What is something that you've been through in your life or something that you are doing that you can provide value on? Because at the end of the day, you're talking to your people, right? So I'm attracting those people that want to learn how to take a salad in a jar to work because they enjoy eating salads, but they don't want to at night make one every night of the week because in the Tupperware container, it's molding, So does that kind of make sense?
Value. And that can be a challenge and it may take some time and it may take some brainstorming. It may take you writing a bunch of different ideas and things down. I mean, I think right now for me, obviously I'm generic. I'm a coach. I'm not part of any company. But you talked about intermittent fasting. I've done intermittent fasting now for 12 years. My friends made fun of me when I started because back then it wasn't a thing. And some of those same friends are doing it now. I started doing about 15, 16 months ago, keto. And obviously I love working out. I'm always working out. And I say obviously because we had a conversation just earlier about it. And I'm working out, at least 5 days a week, I'm lifting weights. And so, I think for me, if I were part of any health and wellness company, I could be giving intermittent fasting, things to look for when you're starting, some of the struggles you'll go through, how to push through it, things that I had to learn that, it forced me to drink a lot more water, which I should have been doing anyways. And a lot of times you think you're hungry, but you're not. And all this stuff I could provide, my top tips to help you to get started, some of my top tips to help you to, push through. These are different things that you can do to provide immense value. Now, you may not know all the answers at first, but Google them. You can take, some other people's insights and you can cite their insights and then give your own perspective on those. So, I just look at it as that's what it is these days. You want to sell, focus on providing as much value as possible. And then people are like, I just want to buy from you. So logistically, what are some text messaging platforms you suggest that people use?
So I have one that I use that I love. I find it it's number one, it's affordable and it's just super user friendly because at the end of the day, there's all this technology out there. We can get confused by so many different things. So I use Project Broadcast.
Yeah.
It's, they roll over their credits, they provide support. It's an app on your phone. You could also run it from your desktop. A lot of people wonder, are these texts going to your cell phone? No, they're going to the app, but they're going to the user's cell phones, which, by the way, I didn't even mention this. It's the reason why I'm passionate is the 99% open rate. So going into 2023, right? Like the open rate is astronomical. That's why you're going to start seeing a lot more businesses using texting and why I'm encouraging networkers to use it. The other app that I'm familiar with, I don't personally use it, is Shout. So that's the other one that's out there. It has, some bells and whistles to it, but I think Project Broadcast provides a ton of what you need. Those are the two that I'm most familiar with. I know there's others out there, but yeah.
So let's dive even deeper now. Now, everybody, you got the basics, you understand, okay, I got to figure out a way to provide value. And then after that, they've got to opt into a text, and then I can send them the value, my top 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever ways, for whatever you're providing value for. Now they've opted in. Well, now what? Because obviously we know they've opted in and you haven't sold them anything yet. You're just providing value. So what is a typical nurture sequence? So those of you that don't understand the word nurture in the online world is you got to nurture them so they're ready to buy something. And some people it's quicker and some people take longer. It's a journey, it's a process. And so, maybe give us some examples. Are you texting every day? Are you texting every other day? When are you asking them if they're interested in buying? When are you transitioning them? Is it just asking them if they're interested in being customers? If so, are you eventually asking them if they want to build a business? Like, these are all questions that if I were starting, I'd be like, oh, I'm all in, but well, what do I do next?
Yeah, those are valid questions. I love it. So I personally have like a 4-message sequence. So once they get that piece of value, which this is the one thing I'll add to that. I tell a lot of people that I work with, when you're trying to think of value, think if you went to a dinner party with friends or people came to your house, what would you talk about? What would they ask you, like, hey, Rob, tell me more about, pickleball, or tell me more about intermittent fasting, right? That's value. Rob clearly knows a lot about it because people are coming to him for that. So that's your piece of value, you guys, right? So what I do is I set up a 4-message sequence after that. So they've gotten the piece of value. The next message is like what I call a virtual tap on the shoulder. So it's basically, I know that you grabbed my guide to getting started with intermittent fasting. Totally curious, do you have any questions? Or which tip are you most excited to try first? Or which salad did you see that you're going to throw in your jar first, right? So that's my first message. The second message that I do, and these all go, I do my 4 messages over a period of 7 days. So the second follow-up message is like right after, it's the day after, 24 hours later. 24 hours after that, I typically share a little bit more value and or success, right? So more value would be another salad in a jar. It might be another tip. If you're sharing success, then you're sharing the testimonial of someone, right? It could even be your own testimonial. You're sharing something that's like edifying why they should have the buy-in to your freebie, right? Okay. Your piece of value that you shared. My next message goes out probably like 48 hours after that. I usually schedule it for, and that's like what I do is an invite. So I'm inviting them to a community that I have. I invite them to a YouTube channel, to a podcast, somewhere where they can get more from you, more value from, if you have a community, right? I'll invite them to a Facebook group. And then the last message that I do is I call it an engaging message, right? I want to actually open up the conversation. Why did they? So, hey, how's it going? I'm totally curious. What drew you to my intermittent fasting guide? What drew you to my salads in a jar? Are you looking to get healthy or save some money? What drew you to my guide to getting started with intermittent fasting? Are you looking to work on some health goals in the new year? Or are you looking to whatever that other or is, right? That way you can open up the conversation. You can see what drew them to you, and in turn, pivot to keeping them. What I do in that last message, they're going in a bucket. They're either going in a product bucket. We're talking products to help them with their goals. They're going in a business bucket, and I'm going to help them, talk to them about running a business with me, or they're staying in my freebie bucket for a little bit. and they're going to get value probably like once every other week, once a month, even weekly if you want. And I'm sharing, the next salad that I made. I'm sharing some more tips. I'm sharing a link to a YouTube video or to a podcast or to a live that I did on my Facebook wall. So I'm just nurturing them, right?
Wow. So 4-message sequence over the course of 7 days. I love it. Virtual tap. I love after that, it's, more value or success, which could be a testimonial. Then it's the invite, but the invite is inviting them to somewhere else they can see more of you and get to know you a little bit better. It's like you're breaking down the barriers, right? Of knowing and liking and trusting. Number 4 is engaging. You're opening up the conversation. What drew you to my guide? Are you looking to, right? An either or type question. And when he said that, I thought of questions are the answers. They really are. Like I had a public speaker that came and spoke at my house to my teenagers the other day. And he just said the person that asks the most questions controls the conversation. And so asking questions is so important. And then you put them in their bucket. And so I love after that, though, and I'm just doing a recap, so making sure that none of you forget any of this stuff. But even after that, she's continuing to nurture. So if they're, for example, not ready to be a product user or business owner, she's still providing value. But think about one piece of content of value that she provides can affect the masses. It can affect, all these people that said no. You never know when it's going to be the right place. And if they're still finding value and not opting out, then great, you're chipping away at that. Plus, in number 4, you already invited them to, get to know you and your content a little better. Why?
And I want to just add on that, like chipping away. I have had people that have fallen into my funnel, have gotten literally 15 messages from me. And on the 16th, they've responded. And I always tell networkers that I connect with, if I talked to Rob in Messenger and I sent him 4 messages and he just didn't respond, I'd probably be like, all right, I'm not bothering him anymore.
Yeah.
But on text, you don't know that they're just looking and like they're there, they're grazing. And I've had people thank me, like, thank you so much for like continuing to share whatever. I'm now ready. So yeah.
That's it's pretty amazing. I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, you broke it down in a very simple way, which is helpful for me and everyone, so it doesn't overwhelm them. What works is what duplicates. And as Leonardo da Vinci says, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. And I look at that and I think, why, like if I were building right now, there's things that I listen that are good, and then there's things that I listen and I'm ready to do right away. I don't know why anyone wouldn't do this. And I get there's some things you got to learn and go through, but if you really, really want to make your business happen, you just really, and you say you want to, well, if it's working for you, whatever you're doing, great. I would still look at adding this. But if you're stuck or you're getting your butt kicked, like, why would you not go do this? It's not that you're going to necessarily have success overnight, but this is a roadmap to help you to have success. I mean, and it's simple to implement. It doesn't mean that it's simple to learn all the little nuances that you just learn as you go. Well, Carrie, I appreciate your time. Where's the best place that people can find you on social media?
I have my Instagram where I provide a lot of value, a lot of tips, and I'm showing up every day. I'm going to do more lives and stuff over there. But I would say that's the most current place to get all of my.
Just Karrie Augustine. Like, what's your handle?
So I'm actually the text message marketing guru, but it's Karrie Aug. I think it's Karrie Aug, AUG. But if you look up text message marketing guru, I kind of put that crown on myself. Yeah, over 2022. I
know what they're going to get. We know it from this podcast, right? But they know what they're going to get.
Go for it. Tell me.
I appreciate you and your time. So much value. It's always fun doing completely brand new trainings. Go give her a follow and go implement the system. And as you implement it, make sure you message Carrie and say, hey, I actually did what you taught. Because I know that's the greatest compliment when someone is affected and takes massive action. So thank you so much, Carrie. Thanks everybody for tuning in.